And so happy new moon, happy new beginning once again. We are always moving upwards on the spiral of evolution by design. This is so exciting. I mean, this is beyond exciting. I could not be more excited to be here on this planet with you and to be able to participate in this adventure. I would not want to be the ordinary human who still has no idea, because we would be missing out. We don't want to be missing out. And so I want to honor you for not missing out on this grand adventure that is life. And so we're going to be pushing the limits of our imagination, and we will be exploring the realms of creation in our amazing light bodies that we will be constructing here together. So I always say, whatever I share is usually personal experience, direct experience. It doesn't mean that it's all exactly how it really is. So that's the big picture. There's a much bigger picture. And we all know, because it would be impossible in this human condition to actually see it all, know it all. But at least we have some bits and pieces, and we together bring them together. Together, we bring them together. And so I was asked by Divine Mother, or we were asked by Divine Mother, to complete what we have been working on. You would say that in a way we have been working really along the path of self-realization, which is pretty much what all the yogis would want us to do, and all the mystics. We start at the base of the spine, the seed of our personality, usually pretty stuck. Usually pretty stuck in the kind of paradigm of, this is my life, I was born, this is my experience, I'm aging, and next thing you know, I'll retire, and then I'm a little bit afraid of death, but I'll die, and who knows what happens then. So that's a typical personality. And again, I'm exaggerating, of course. And so now and again, the human being figured out that there is something a little higher. And so they actually were able to reach the higher self. That was a very great accomplishment. But then, Yogananda taught us about the soul. And I always say, Yogananda taught me everything before 2012. So I know that one thing he didn't tell me and explain to me was the divine self. But he said, okay, once you contact your higher self, you let go of the personality self, the cloak of humanness, you burn it again and again. I still burn it in my morning ritual all the time. I hope you do too, because you never know, the personality is a sticky thing. And so as you transmute the personality, you become lighter and lighter and lighter. And then you start working with these angelic realms. The angelic realms are all about light. They are helpers. Amazing stuff happens in the angelic realms. But, it continues, it goes on and on and on. And this is what this lunar cycle and all the upcoming cycles until August will be about. Everything is by divine design. We have worked through the personality stuff, and that's something that goes on, of course, until the personality dissolves. And that's an amazing miracle when it does. How do you know when your personality has dissolved? When you are all love, your mind is all love, your thoughts are all love, your feelings are all love, and you are just your divine self embodied in the body. It's an amazing state. It is all within us. All can actually have the same, of course, because it's right here, right now. So we moved on a little bit beyond the higher self, and we started to explore our soul. A lot of the work that we have done with Oren was first about contacting our soul. And I always say not many people know that you actually have to contact your soul, because the soul is you on a solar plane. And that being that is your soul is a much, much larger version of you. So for example, when I came out of body for the first time in a very, very ultimate way, which you would call death, at the age of 13, I realized that we are unbelievably large beings. And we are so large that I was so excited about it. And I was so complaining about how small the physical body is. And that, like, how can you fit such a big being into such a small body? And that's pretty much our soul. So like a very large being. But the thing is that even the soul is connected to a higher realm, higher body that again is you. And actually that would be spirit body. And the spirit is, very, very much alike the divine self. But these days we work with the concept of the divine self, even though in between you could almost say that spirit and divine self are the same layer, or at least interconnected. And so we have this picture here. Sorry, I got lost in my own pictures here. That we go from the spirit body higher and higher until we get to the divine self. So we're working with unbelievable realms of our own divinity. Now, the thing is, you're not going really anywhere, and yet you are. Because dimensions are not so much about like space. It is about moving through dimensions that exist within your own multidimensional spine. And yet it seems always like you're definitely moving through space, and sometimes you're moving through time as well. And then sometimes you find even realms that don't have space and time. And so all of this is within us. All of this can be explored, and we explore it not through some random, visualizations. We actually build our vehicle to be able to do so. Number one, of course, this is our own path of consciousness. You could call this the tree of life. And again, to me, when I was 13 and this beautiful divine being told me to go back into the body, which I really didn't want to do. And she said, yeah, you still have to grow along the tree of life. And I'm so glad she sent me back, because all this amazing growth and experience and all of it is just so exciting. And it is for a reason. These are not really lessons. This is simply exploration of your own highest potential. And then sometimes also the lower potential. And seeing like, whoa, this does not feel good. I want to go higher into my own being. I want to be my divine self. And so we recognize that within us is a potential for quite a lot, whether it is high or low, and we want to be high. And again, that didn't come across the right way. But I guess there's a lot happening that sounds like fun right now in the ether. So the divine self is definitely bliss. It is bliss within you. And so exactly. And I talked earlier on the call about like how whatever you do in your life, sometimes we call it drugs, we call it alcohol, we call it all those different things, addictions and all of it. Simply observe if whatever you do and choose is bringing you higher to your divine self. I don't know if it's true that Rumi was, drinking a lot of wine, but if he was, then he knew how to go higher into his higher self. So it's not so much what it is that we do, it is what it does to us, So again, what it does to us needs to be observed. Do I feel so much closer to my higher self, divine self? Do I feel closer to source when I eat, drink, or do this and that, right? So that's, again, it's a personal decision and personal really examination what it does. Great stories about this. So again, observing, am I expanding with this? Am I contracting with this? And some people will expand for a little moment and stay there. And some people will overdo it and they will then anchor back into the contracted self. So again, there is absolutely no judgment about anything. Don't be hard on yourself. Simply observe. Is it expansion? Is it contraction? That's it. And so the higher you go in your own divine self, the better it gets. Yeah, look at oh yeah. So the recording will be posted on YouTube. I hope to do it tonight. I hope to be a little bit more organized and do it. And so the divine self is pure bliss. Yogananda always said, ever new bliss. It is not bliss that we have to seek because of some reason. When we simply learn how to connect to our divine self within our own multidimensional self, then we always feel bliss. The bliss is our enlightenment, and it goes higher and higher and higher. We are one with source. And so I always think Uncle Jesus, when he said, I and my Father are one, he was saying, I and the source that is really right above me through this pillar of light, of course, I won because the source runs through me. So, you would say that he was the embodiment of the divine self and many others and many others. And so, again, there is a structure to this. And I was able to explore this structure when I started to really travel out of body all the time in 2019. In 2019, Yogananda came to me. And it was in October. Some things I remember exactly the date it happened, the month it happened. And it was in October when Yogananda came and he told me what was going to unfold on planet Earth. So I got really excited, didn't know what quite to expect. But one of the things he said, two things that he said, we will be changing the structure of the astral sphere, which is a big deal because, we go from Earth to astral and from astral to causal. Astral sphere is usually a pretty messy place, but it can be also very nice in certain areas. But usually that's the place where people go when they die, and they bring a lot of unresolved stuff with them. And some people are actually, engaging in evil, but also the astral sphere has beings that actually live there permanently. Some come in and go, and some are permanent. Now, to be a permanent inhabitant of astral sphere, it also can mean that you are permanently not a very nice being, but they don't even have to be humans. And so Yogananda said, let's restructure all of this. So I knew that in 2019, 2020, we will be doing quite an amazing job rebuilding the astral sphere. And so many people then started to report on the change in the death space. If you remember, for example, Oracle Girl was speaking about this. But again, it's something, to explore if you do. But the thing is that Yogananda also said that the human body will be changing, and that we're going to be purifying the human cells and the human genome so that we can embody a very much higher level of our own divinity, our divine self. Here they call it chakras. You can call it that in a way, because in a way it is portals in your own structure through which source light comes in. Now, this is important. People say, let's get rid of chakras, let's delete them, it's an infiltration of the system. I always say, I don't know about that, because it is portals through which source light reaches you. It used to be just kind of limited to the 7 because we were unable to reach our own divine self. But in 2020, everyone got this amazing download. And we now have our, again, 12-dimensional design through which source light is now flowing to all of us equally. And it is up to us to realize this, up to us to use this amazing opportunity to wake up from whatever personality limitations and to say, I am my divine self. No kidding. I am my source self. I am my I am presence. Now I get it. But it's good to self-realize it, Highland. And so the self-realization that is happening through us is exactly this. The 12-dimensional design is back online. And what's going to happen and what's happening, and it's really right here, right now, is that all these portals within our own energy body, leading us all the way to source on top of this, you would say, because the larger body, the one on the outside is the very, very large cosmic body. You are becoming once again, not only your soul, your spirit, your galactic self, your divine self, you're becoming your cosmic being. That's why we are now remembering the truth about cosmos, that it is the body of the mother, that we are remembering our galactic heritage, our connection to the galaxy, the body of the galaxy, beyond the beings, of course. We are remembering the connection to the core of the galaxy as an amazing, amazing source of light. And so what's going to happen for ideally all of us is that all of these aspects of divinity, the 12 colors of the rainbow, will actually shine through each portal of your being. That means no longer will it be just split into, different frequencies of light, but it actually will be all at once. That means the rainbow of this divine self, this is what my divine self showed me one day. Divine self is really this, and this is just the most simple diagram of the divine self. There is no legs, no arms, no nothing, it's like, it is a fractal of God, and God is obviously not a face with, arms and legs and stuff, but it is energy that is geometrical, that has frequencies, that has color and sound. Also, each of these colors actually represents sound. And together is just this beautiful creation that very often, for those of you who see this, can see this beautiful rainbow universe flowing through you. We have new meridians, by the way. So, what used to be, our spine, we still have our spine, but that too is changing. Everything's changing. All the channels within our brain structure are changing. Everything's being upgraded. The meridians in our body. Sorry, I'm just kind of skipping through my slides here. So this was like the old meridians. We're going to have new meridians. And so because this huge, massive amount of light that is source light has to now come through us, and we need to be able to handle it. So as we were beings who used to live in a very contracted state, and really just to explain, every chakra also creates a body around us. The first chakra is kind of the physical body. The second chakra is our emotional body. The third chakra is actually our mental body. So in a way, you would say that these bodies were what humanity was very much living in without balance. So you would say physical imbalance, emotional and mental imbalance was the typical, status quo of a human being. But now with this new design, please tell everyone, teach everyone you can. This is the reason for our awakening. The design is again here. We are recovering our light body. This is our light body in a way, but we're going to actually make it much more. We're going to add to this. We're going to add to this so that we can travel and explore and so on and so on. So when you look at this design, there is something really important about this. All these upper bodies that you would also call your soul, your spirit, your galactic self, your divine self, actually will be dormant as long as the heart is closed. When the heart opens, the entire upper body, which is all the way to source, comes in, and it comes in naturally. All of this is a natural design. This is nature. It's the onion of a human being. It's you, and you, and you. And I always say this is so fun because you get to meet yourself, like you get to meet you and also the collectives that you belong to, not by going outside, but actually by going deep within and up. Everything is this deep within and up. There is an elevator within us, which the yogis, of course, knew. But now it is so amazingly liberated. And by the way, the news from the ethers last night is that humanity is now in this very moment being liberated. And we'll talk about it, hopefully. I sometimes just go with the flow of whatever comes in. And so sometimes I don't get to talk about things I thought I was going to mention. But just know this is our liberation process. Number one, what are we liberating from is unconsciousness. Once upon a time, I got to see some very strange things that happened on Mars a very long time ago. And I saw some very unconscious beings coming actually to Earth from Mars and bringing a lot of unconscious energies with them. And I cannot tell you if this is what Patricia talks about, when she talks about the laggard souls who came to planet Earth and they were birthed through women and they brought a lot of karma and darkness with them. And if that's why we experienced the fall, I cannot tell you if those were the guys. Actually, guys, I have to say, because I saw mainly, as strange as it is, male kind of beings that came down. But I saw how unconsciousness came to planet Earth from other places. So yes, it came here like a virus. And apparently, Patricia says we volunteered to do it. I don't have a memory of volunteering, but I do remember when they came and I remember what it did to us. It was not pretty. And so there is a liberation from unconsciousness, but also we became infected very much so, as you would understand the human condition. And so we are also liberating our own being from our own unconsciousness. And so now it's a cleansing process, but also at the same time is a very liberating process where we finally have this amazing opportunity to end this recycling of our own being back to the same mess. So until now, beings were coming here with the karma. They said, okay, I can handle it. But when they came here, it got too much. So they made more. And then they came back again. They said, I can handle it. Again, they could not handle it, and so on and so on. So this is the end of this recycling. And Lorraine, what does Dornwalla say about Mars? Because to me, it was definitely very clear that there were beings who came from Mars. But, I don't know if that's interesting or not. I just want to say the condition obviously is what we have here right now. But now is the change. Now is the change. Okay. So this is it. This is it. We are not 100% there yet, because that would be pretty obvious if we were. We still have interference here, and we really do. So just know, catch yourself all the time if you feel that you are not thinking and feeling like yourself. I always say, when you find yourself in a lot of judgment for no reason, if you find yourself suddenly feeling off, clear your energy, with the violet flame. Chant some Om, clear the strings around your being, and keep going. So it's about catching like any unconsciousness sneaking in, because it's very sneaky, of course, and the game is not over just yet. And so this is now your structure. This is something to explore. This is the greatest gift ever given to humanity back. This is, again, our rainbow body. So again, you know, we have so many traditions talking about the rainbow body. This is the rainbow body. And the only way this can be ignited is through the heart. Yes, Gordon, exactly. That's what's happened. So, but we really, you know, let's clean it all up. Let's get liberated. Let's do this every day. Let's see how fun this can be, because it can be very fun. And I think it's good to have a little bit of fun with all of this. So this is our amazing potential that is right here, right now, through all of us. But again, just it's super simple. There's nothing complicated about it. All it takes, living from the heart. So Divine Mother calls the heart a magnetic portal. So filling up the heart every day with magnetic love, and of course, giving her that love, you know, like I'm thinking, you know, somebody might say, I love power, I love money, I love this and that, but that love is definitely not going to fill up the magnetic heart. We want the real love. And so every day, you know, Yogananda also said, don't pray for anything except for pray as your connection to Divine Mother. State who you are. I'm a child of God. I'm a child of Shiva Shakti. I'm a child of Divine Mother. And so that love, Haridaskar, I love you too, my love. So that love fills that heart up. And, you know, just offer that love as your service, because nothing actually beats it, you know. That love actually is what's needed. I was talking to Divine Mother today while driving, and I'm like, okay, so what would you like to talk about today? What is so important? And then I looked at the license plate in front of me, and it said love life. And I just thought, oh yeah, okay, so what else should we talk about? How to love life. If we are not enjoying life, you know, I mean, the big life, this big, extraordinary life, then we are really missing our purpose. And so how to love the big life? There is a big difference between the life of struggle and suffering. And by the way, I also have seen that not all suffering is really man-made. So there is also suffering that is really, unfortunately, also kind of emanated to humanity to engage with. So it's good, like what they always told us, you know, the teachings like stay neutral in your power, be the Christ itself, be the divine self, handle everything from the level of the divine self. Personally, I think constantly inviting your divine self is the best idea that we can always have in every moment, whatever you're dealing with. If some worry comes in, if fear comes in, worry and fear are obviously the human energies of survival and so on and so on. They are very toxic. And so in that moment, you always have that opportunity. Very simple. Hey, divine self, I need you more than ever right now. Let me connect to you in peace. Peace holds the key to heaven. Peace. Peace is not the ultimate goal, but peace holds a key to heaven. It is in peace that we open. It is in peace that we expand. It is in peace that we still the mind, and the mind belongs to the lower human self. Because the upper mind, the divine mind, is very different. It's not a chit-chatting mind. It's not moving in circles. It doesn't repeat stuff randomly. The divine mind is very deliberate. Absolutely. Clear with your divine self. We're going to do that today. We're going to be doing clearing today. Today, we are embarking upon a very big, expansive journey that will take us 5 months to accomplish. I mean, yes, please, you know, if you feel inspired to do so, stick with us for 5 lunar cycles if this work interests you. And I want to explain a little bit what is the benefit of this. So most human beings really don't know themselves because they live at the base of the structure. And so they think this is who I am. The heart, living from the heart, is an amazing expanded way of being that activates the upper realms of who you are. It is actually absolutely the key to live from the heart and then be constantly experiencing yourself in higher realms, and to be keeping the lower human self in balance, but not in control. So when we live from the heart, it would be also hard to live from the heart simply without the knowing of who we are. Because then when things happen, you know, what do we then do? Many people just go to religion, and that seems to be the crutches. But Yogananda always says, don't believe in God. He always says, make contact with God, and make that contact as real as you and me talking to each other. Make it as real as your best friend and not an imaginary friend. Know how to attune to that light, to see it, to speak with it, to truly, you know, the potential is so big. If someone told me that this was going to be possible like years ago, I would say, well, that sounds like nice imagination. I'm going to be visualizing God talking to me. But it actually is no longer like that. We are now reconnected. And so every single one of us is reconnected to have direct contact with the Godhead. I highly recommend it. And it's just, it blows my mind every single time, you know, like today we were chanting 3 Ohms, and on the second Ohm, the pillar of light just came down, like, bam, this is your God pointing at you, the golden light. And then, of course, you know, you are just melting in bliss. And then you just get inspired. You are always then inspired. So yeah, but it's going to get better when it's beyond imagination, because now it's going to be like your reality. You sit in meditation, you know exactly how to attune, you connect through the pillar of light, you silence the human self, you know exactly the pathway. The pathway is the key, you know, that's why we teach it. This is a method. This is a path of self-realization. And so, you know, I always say, this is within all of us. And so let's share how it is done. So I found a lot of ways of doing this, but I found that since it is within all of us, one way is, of course, and I actually don't know any other way, is meditation. And the meditation is a path. So again, you can practice different types of meditation, but with Oren, it's going to be really fun. To me, it's, you know, it's really easy. Like before you go to bed, going to bed, to me, it's not anymore about sleeping. It's more like about what adventure awaits us tonight. And I'm always so disappointed when nothing happens. But, you know, like when you do your meditations, you do your invocations, you do your stretching, you know, you do whatever you do with your light body, you chant some mantra, you do some ohms, and so on and so on. And, you know, it's like, hey, I'm here. You know, show me what's possible. So it's just incredible what's possible. So take me, you take me, I'll take you a little bit through what we're going to do. So our new moon is today, Australia, Perth. Do we have anyone who got to see the solar eclipse last night in Australia? I got a picture of it. This was Western Australia. Pretty incredible. It was so magnificent. It was like a diamond sitting on the moon or the sun. And so this multidimensional exploration is really self-realization. There is no difference between it. You know, even Yogananda and these great yogis, Kalishwar, they all got to be multidimensional. They all traveled out of body. They all went to other stars. They all went to other universes. They all got to see the cosmos, and then they came back into the body. So we're going to do it, and we're going to do it with Oren. So the first course, they build up on each other. I think that's a sentence. And so we start with level 1, and we're going to go to level 5. If you are buying these, I do highly recommend it, so that you always have the tools in your iPhone and your phone and your computer, and you can do it anytime you feel like it. It's really good to practice, you know, together we do it, you know, twice a day, but it's really good to do it more. And so we're going to be doing this lunar cycle, level 1, next lunar cycle, level 2. And so they are $89 each. So if you do, you know, once a month, you buy $89, 12 journeys, then we're going to be working with those. So what is this all about? It really is about Divine Mother. It really is, because Divine Mother is the mother that created cosmos. Within her, you get to know dimensions, you get to know the incredible stars within her, the galaxies, the universes, and now you will be able to explore it. It is fun. it is fascinating, but at the same time, when you come back, you are transformed. You then approach life differently. You get to love life more. That's my experience. Then everything's a miracle. And then when people, you know, in front of you, like let's say you have someone in a bad mood in front of you, then it's not such a big deal because you see through all of it. So in a way, we become much better humans when we get to know our own multidimensional self. Plus, we have many more tools to activate our superpowers. We all have superpowers, and this really helps in activating them. So you might experience all the things that the yogis talked about, but it's through a different method, and that is through Orin. And so, for example, you know, these are big messages to me. You know, we are here to be of service to the divine with our love. We serve life better when we love. We serve life better when we remember that we are all one. But if we just keep repeating it and we never get to see it, then, you know, it's just a sentence that is a belief. And beliefs are weak. To me, whatever we believe can be very weak. But experience, direct experience that you will have, that's strong. It's like saying, well, now that I saw God and God talked to me, now that I got to know Divine Mother and I got to play with her a bit, now I understand who I am. And then let me be the child of God in this world. Isn't that true? That's why Yogananda said, you know, beliefs are shakeable, whereas direct experience, it's pretty firm. And so we are very tiny little beings, and yet we do matter. In the big picture of creation, every single one of us is a cell, is a little star. There are many stars, but you and me are stars. If our stars are shining bright and bigger, imagine the illumination we bring to the cosmic game of light. It is a cosmic game of light. Now, the bigger beings, the ones who get to make it to the causal plane, they get to create their own universes. And I don't know if that sounds like fun to you. Sounds like fun to me. I'm not letting any Martians into my universe, by the way. And so when I got to see all of this, these are old slides I found, you know, when I started talking about this, but pretty much this is you. You are that star within creation of this beauty. Isn't that an amazing honor to be a star? I wanted to tell you, when I travel out of body, I usually receive quite a bit of knowledge, and sometimes it doesn't even succeed, so I receive nothing. So I want to be honest about that as well. But when I do, I bring the knowledge, and of course my husband laying next to me in bed is the first one who has to hear it all. And he knows how the routine works. You know, when you travel out of body, it's a very specific routine, of course, and also how you land back in is a specific routine. So your partner has to know what you're up to. And so then the knowledge that I brought with me the other day was to me so beautiful. In these cosmic realms, as you understand all the beautiful mantras that we have, very often the mantras are really syllables. Syllables of very powerful sounds, powerful frequencies. Just like Om, we have mantras. And I used to teach about the sound of Ma, being actually a sound of the water elemental, which the water elemental is the being as big as cosmos itself. It's a being that expands just like all the other 5 elements through cosmos, and they are the ones who create. So it's almost like Divine Mother, she uses the 5 elements to create creation, and they go through different kind of state of density. And so even water then becomes a different kind of type of plasma in other realms and so on. But these 5 elements have a sound. And from my experience, very direct experience with the water element, the sound is Ma. To me, that's also the sound of mother, Ma, Ma. And I always say, you know, when the babies are born here on this planet, it doesn't surprise me at all that one of the first sounds that babies make is Ma. Ma, Ma, because they're filled with water and they can hear the vibration of water within themselves. And so I got to know Ma as the mother for us, and also the sound of the water element. And so I was told in these cosmic realms where they speak this cosmic language to me is not what people channel as the light language. To me, that's a very different language. It's an ancient language. It's almost like you would say the language of creation is this cosmic language of these very original syllables that are very understandable, very easily repeatable. And that's where I think the original mantras came from, because you will find like Om Namah Shivaya. That's a very powerful mantra. And that's a mantra, you know, of these 5 elements. And so you have, for example, so they told me that actually they don't call the earth, in these very high cosmic realms, earth or Gaia or Terra. They said to us, this is Ma-Ra-Va-Ti. And so I came back, you know, into the body, and I'm immediately telling my husband because I don't want to forget. And so Ma-Ra-Va-Ti. Now, to me, this is now what I call the earth. And so I invite you to call her that. This to me was so incredible. I have never heard it before, but I thought Ma as water, the mother, Ra as the son, the father, Va as the air, the pranic air. And to be honest, I don't know what T stands for, but I'll have to explore it, and maybe you can help me as well. So Maravati, the creation of water, sun, and air. Pretty incredible. And Ma being the mother. So that's how I address her now. And that's how I actually chant to her as well when I touch her, you know, when I meditate outside. So I invite you to also chant to her. It's pretty incredible. So my husband was, you know, puzzled by this as much as I was. So he was doing some Googling. And so please Google. And we found that there are temples in the ancient traditions, and they were called Amaravati. And apparently these were the temples of the Devic creation. And so there are still temples that are called Amaravati, but with an A at the beginning. So, but I heard it as Maravati. So again, this is all very fascinating, what is happening here on this planet. And this is, you know, why we want to expand our light body, why we want to expand our consciousness, so that we can explore creation a little bit from the bigger picture. And so let's go to an amazing experience that I wanted to share with you. I only share those that are useful for a collective and not the personal ones, but they are all direct experiences. So when I was asked in 2019 by my guides to really start going out of body and to start helping in these higher realms, because I always say we all came here with our superpower. Whatever is your superpower is what you are doing. Some people are healers. Some people are, you know, they work on portals, grids. Some people are working with the earth. Some people are, you know, to be here to be the peacemakers, and so on and so on. Everyone came with an amazing superpower. And so my skill that I was actually asked to use was exploring, you know, the multidimensional reality, and to bring some information from these different time and space realities to make it a little useful. And so I discovered that basically the system of the 12 layers that exist within us also corresponds what you would say almost 12 dimensions of consciousness and realities. So this is exactly how I actually experience it when I travel. So one day I found myself in the 3rd dimension, which is here. And I was thinking, what if I chant Om? So I started to chant Om as I was out of body, because when you are out of body, even though you are out of body, you still have your voice and you can actually chant. And so, yeah. And so Gordon, share, what is your superpower? Everyone, you know, by now should know the superpower, or it's unfolding. We are remembering it's happening. And so I was able to fully disconnect from the physical body. I mean, like fully, and really, you know, I teach it exactly how I do it. So this is pretty much what it looks like. And then you, of course, float out, and then you have your super consciousness with you. And so it is your super consciousness then making decisions. Ask your divine self if you don't know your superpower. Your divine self will find a way to tell you. Your divine self has the answers always. Yeah, absolutely. And so I've experimented with for many, 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 many years. And it is because I got to meet like this. One day I was meditating, my third eye opened, and the answers came from a symbol. This appeared in front of me in my third eye, but like, when your third eye is open, it doesn't look like you are seeing a vision. It's more like you think you are really looking with your open eyes. And so this appeared and it started to transmit information and it was speaking. And so I thought, okay, I'll just experiment with And so when I found myself in the third dimension, I was like, okay, so I'm out of body. I'm in the third dimension, and it seems that it's not a very easy place to be because access to source from the third dimension is very limited. And I compare it to the eye of a needle. If you are in the third dimension and you want to have direct access to source, you are looking through the eye of a needle. Now that's very, very, very kind of what would you call it? Not an easy construct to be in. But if you go higher and higher and higher, the opening that you have through which you can directly have access to source gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And finally, the top of this mountain, the top of the tower, it is actually pure access without actually entering. So you see the top of the tower is crystalline. I compare it to glass. You can see it all. You can see everything on the outside. And what is on the outside is source itself. So pure consciousness without individualizations. So we all are always individualized beings with bodies within all these dimensions. And of course, the higher you get, the more, let's call it perfect, luminous, balanced, beautiful in a way the body is. And of course, the higher you go, the higher vibrational the body is as well. So you'll find yourself, your own being, into all dimensions. That's my experience. So, like when I arrived in the 11th dimension on top of this, I was just sitting down looking at myself and I was like, whoa. So you find yourself in all of these. I mean, they are all having experiences. That's all within us, that's why we call it multi-dimensional experiences. So you can actually go and check in with your beautiful 11th dimensional self, and have a conversation because it's you advising yourself. That to me is like, well, it's fun. But anyway, so we are individualized. But when we go to the 12th dimension, from my experience, you merge into oneness. You lose your individualization. And to me, that's like the ultimate goal. And at the same time, the goal also is to be individualized. This is not something to overcome. This is something to explore, enjoy, to enjoy the different conditions of the different dimensions, to be the best version in every single one of them, of course. And that's to me like how Christ, when he came here, the stories that we have in many different bodies that he came as Krishna, as Jesus, the Christ consciousness, we can be that no matter where we are, right? Because conditions should not determine how we react. They should not determine who we are. We can always choose to be the avatar, no matter where. So the conditions are designed this way, or it's really by design. It's just to create differences, to create contraction, to make it a little bit more difficult. But like, why not? The spirit wants to know itself. And so it creates this structure. To me, this is created by design, by the spirit that you are. The highest version of you, the spirit, wants to experience some kind of challenges, not pain, not suffering, but let's call it healthy challenge. Healthy challenge, that's all it is. And so within this system, this is really great to know. Healthy challenge is trying to figure it all out. It's like, oh, okay, so I am here. How do I create? How do I align with source from here? Oh, okay, now I'm in the 5th dimension. What should I do here? Oh, okay, this is how I use my creative powers here. And again, it's just meant to be a little bit fun. And so as I was exploring this, I started to explore the structure in 2019, but I really was puzzled by one thing. I could not get out. And, earlier Tigger was on the call too, and he said he experienced the same thing. And to me, I get to meet you and you and you and you in this structure too. And there are levels where we are just one big collective helping each other so much. And so I was wondering, what would be the way to actually get out? Not because it's a prison. It's not a prison. It is just a challenging structure that is supposed to invite you to greatness. Now, Matthias de Stefano, if you guys follow Matthias, he once explained it in a way that I really thought, this is exactly it. And this got me so excited. So on the 15th of April, I found a way out. And I think that that makes a difference for all of us, because we are all one. So when one figures it out, the next one figures it out, the next one figures it out. I figured out that if you chant Om in a very specific way, in a very pure tone, that is, to me, very feminine, kind of higher, almost, and this is not exactly what I did, but I figured out that if you really get that Om to sound the way that it really sounds in creation, when you start resonating with the sound of creation, and that was my dog chanting Om, so then you get to transcend all these layers, and you get out through a tunnel, through a channel, straight into what you would call source. And you get to see source, you get all the way out, and then you enter this. You enter pure light, and it is beyond the structure. We have some chanting here. Now, to me, this is incredible. Think about it. Now, I'm going to say one more thing before we meditate. Matthias described this as a building with no windows, no doors, no roof. Oh, sorry. No windows, no doors, and a roof. Let me repeat that. I got distracted by the singing dog. Matthias described it. The spirit created a building with no windows, no doors, and there is a roof. There is no way out. And spirit puts you in saying, figure this out, with no real tools. And then you figure it out. You are the tool. This to me is the self-realization. You are the tool. You can make sound. You can attune to Om, and you can chant it in this building with no windows, no doors, no roof. And then all opens. And what opens actually is kind of a wormhole. So when Alex speaks about this, to me, she speaks about the channels, you know, how we open the channels through our chanting. To me, this is the ultimate channel, the channel that leads directly to source itself. Hopefully this all makes sense. One way, again, to see this, you go through a wormhole to source. It's almost like we come from, you know, there was always the explanation that we live in the, was it like underworld, and there is the upper world. So this to me is the journey to source, the upper world. So the solution is within us. I mean, this is mind-blowing for me, you know, like it's kind of like a puzzle, right? Like, how do you figure this out? You have no tools. How do you get out? And nobody first thinks, well, I'm going to sing Om, because that's not like the obvious answer immediately. But then once you figure it out, so I want to share this with everyone to be able to break through your own barriers, chant Om. And I figure also out, it's not about how many times, it's about how. And again, it's supposed to be a game, whether it is internally, externally, whether it is, you know, whatever. Try to find a tone that resonates, because it's all about resonance. When you, it's like a key. It's like a code, right? When it sounds exactly the way it needs to sound, the portal opens. The wormhole suddenly appears out of nowhere. I mean, I'm excited about this because it is the simplest thing to do, is actually to make it so simple that it is not the most obvious thing, because you would think it has to be complicated, but no. Yeah, play with it, play with it. You know, I've been exploring this since 2019. It took me 6 years to figure this out. I still do I'm clean sound. I do it every single day as part of my morning practice. But whenever you can, play with you know, let's play with too. It was the second we did earlier today that opened it up. I could see it. Because once you see it, that's it. Then it's like, okay, now here you are. You were hiding. It's like, you know, Yogananda always said God is a little bit shy. How strange is that, isn't it? Well, come out and play with us. Ghostbusters, you are the key master. I am the gatekeeper. I love it. That's a very cool sentence, you know? Yeah, so I will be playing with Om every day. I'm testing it out. I just want to say the way it sounded, I found one recording that is really the most similar. I also thought, you know, this lady that I played at the beginning, that she kind of has the voice of that type of Om that I heard in the ethers. But I also will play one more. So Om, as you know, is an incredibly transformational sound. I mean, take it like seriously and playfully at the same time. That if you really like, is it called hit it on the nail or whatever the saying is? When you nail it, expect miracles. And don't you think with me, isn't this surprisingly easy, hiding in the plain sight? Just chant and open the wormhole. To me, it's like, whoa, 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 whoa. So I found this I will play it to you. There will be an ad, I guess. Let me quickly skip it. Yeah. Open sesame, that's right. And so play with it, play with it. So here's some let's chant together. Let's fix the, you know how it works. Around us are strings of creation. Why do we have the strings here somewhere? And these strings very often broken. When we thank you, when we chant we are repairing naturally all the strings of creation around us. So here is a nice I found. And I'll put the link into the chat. We also will try Yogananda. I was not seeing anything right now happening, so I want to go back to Yogananda. We are experimenting, you know, that's the fun part. So Yogananda also has a video. Well, not that he has a video, but there is a video of him chanting. And he also chants 108 times. So let's try Yogananda. And again, this is clearing. We are reorganizing our quantum reality with this, okay? So that's Yogananda. I'm going to put it in the chat again, just in case you want to chant. But again, play with us. Yogananda, it's interesting. The way he chants it, there is the slight A at the beginning. So it's also very interesting. Okay. So I will actually guide us through a quick clearing with our divine self. This is something that I recommend doing every day now that we can connect to our divine self so easily. It will take us maybe 2 or 3 minutes. So how to best explore your divine self, of course, through alignment. So you can see your divine self as your multidimensional spine. Let me see if I have any picture here that would actually show that. I think the best is to actually see our own spine and remembering that we sit in the pose of dignity. The pose of dignity is very important because your body is actually like an antenna. So if you want to be an antenna, you have to be pointing in a certain way. Think about it this way. And so maybe tonight, you know, we still have the new moon energy. And so you can connect like this. We're sitting like an antenna. This is a very rectangular posture. We are directing our crown to source energy. And because we have a multidimensional spine that runs through us, just like you see here, the pillar of light, then you need to go through the pillar of light all the way up. But in Shiva Yoga, we touch the light of source and we come back down with that light and we bring it down. So you can think of yourself as an elevator of light who can go all the way up and all the way down and all the way up and all the way down. So this is pretty much who we are, beings that have the ability to go to higher realms. And so as you sit like this, start feeling into the pillar of light within you. And the more you can attune to it, it is motion within. We are moving within and into the pillar of light that runs through the spine. Pillar of light runs through the spine. You know, this is it, focusing into the spine, getting to know your spinal cord, really going deep within into the sacred highway to heaven. This is the highway to God, as Yogananda called it. And so this pillar goes above the head into source, and we are moving through all the different bodies that we have. We go through the higher self, into the soul self, into the galactic self, through the spirit self, and into our divine self. The divine self has a direct connection to source, and yet it is you individualized. So you would say at that level, we are all one, very, very obviously, connecting to source energy. So this is how we can all actually establish direct contact with source. So we always use breath. Breath is the connecting agent. And so we connect from the base of the spine and we inhale up through the pillar, always up through the pillar, through the nose, all the way up. We touch source, we really do, with our breath. And we pause there for 1 split second, and then we bring it down again. Through exhale, we exhale down. Exhale is coming down to the base of the spine. The base of the spine is a very important, really portal too. And so that's where we are spirit and matter. And so we connect with that 1 quantum pause, and then we repeat this. And we can do this breathing as often as we feel like. Ideally, you want to practice at least for 6 weeks to have big results. And so breathing through the spine, through the pillar of light, up through the nose, into source. Touch source. Pause there for a moment. Don't hold breath. Just pause naturally when the lungs are full. And then when you exhale naturally, you come down through the pillar, into the top of the head, into the pillar, into the spine. You exhale. And when the lungs are empty, there is a pause. And so you create this natural rhythm. This is the most natural rhythm we can create. And in a way, you are liberating, liberating, liberating. Beautiful. And so as you touch your divine self all the way up the outer layer of the onion that we are, the cosmic body that we have, that is the Almighty. That part of us is Almighty. We don't want to be diminished down here. We want to always be in touch with our Almighty presence. We want to walk in the presence of our divine self, our source self. I really like that word, source self, the divine self. This is the presence of the divine self within us. And then we walk in that presence within us. You know, now it all makes sense what the religions were telling us. And so you download it, you establish it, you carry it with you every step, every breath, every thought, every feeling, every word, every action. And so let us talk to our divine self. Beloved divine self, reveal yourself to me, number one. Give me a signal, right? We want to have a signal when we connect to the divine self. And when you get a signal, it will be a shift of energy. It can be seeing, it can be hearing, it can be a sensation. It will be very, you know, whatever it is for you, subjective. And then you just ask yourself, your divine self, right? You're asking your own divine self, you as your divine self, to clear you, to move through you, move through the physical, move through the etheric, move through the mental and emotional into all directions to clear you, and just feel that clarity that is coming in. And all you are doing is making room for your own divine self in your own being. And as you know from the teaching of Orin, your source self, your divine self, your I am presence is the ultimate giver. But to be able to receive, we first need to connect. It is not saying it, it is truly becoming it. And so tomorrow we will be embarking upon an amazing journey with Orin. Once again, this is going to be a big one. We are building some structures around. And so when you go to bed, you can start thinking about all the beautiful light that you are and start exploring these multidimensional realities so reliably through the work that we do with Orin. For me, when I'm in higher realms, I only chant Om. So for those of you who, you know, get to really consciously be there, chant Om, see what happens. Miracles unfold. And I always say is the easiest way to move up is your Om. And so I'll see you in higher realms tonight. I actually saw many of you last night, by the way. And so we're going to be meeting once again. And again, we'll chant Om. So it's a beautiful practice to have in the body and out of body as well. So it's going to be, again, 11 a.m., 5 p.m. tomorrow. So thank you so much for being here, and I'll see you tomorrow.